Hi, everybody. The sun is shining on my head, so it's making me look like I have white hair. Um, the sun is shining right on me. So I am just coming on here real quick to finish this story because I remember I did not finish it. And so here it is. Night of the Ninja. This is chapters 8, 9, and 10. So 3 chapters today. And I just talked to Nathan and Anya on the phone, and they reminded me to finish it. So Nathan and Anya, thank you for reminding me, honey. Um, so here we go. Chapter 8. What happened when we were last seen? They were trapped somewhere, remember? Remember there was a big giant samurai ready to attack them, it looked like. Armor, the swords, a samurai warrior. I don't know what's going to happen. What do you think is going to happen? Jack and Annie crouched down together. Now samurai were on both sides of them, the left and the right, and they were totally trapped. Jack pressed against the rock, and the warrior stepped closer and closer. He looked to the right and he looked to the left, and Jack held his breath in fear. Be nature, whispered Annie. What? Jack whispered back. Be nature. Be a rock. In other words, she was trying to tell him, be still and hide, and they won't see you. Oh, brother, thought Jack, this is nuts. But he squeezed his eyes shut and he tried to be part of the rock. Jack tried to be as still as the rock, as solid as the rock, as quiet as the rock. Soon he actually started feeling as strong as a rock and as safe as the rock. He wanted to be the rock forever, and squeak. He's gone, said Annie. They're all gone. It worked. They pretended to be the rock and they tried to become like the rock and be nature, and they were actually hidden from the giant samurai warriors. Jack opened his eyes. The samurai warrior was gone. Jack stood up and looked over the rock. The torches were gone too. All those samurai warriors were gone. Let's go, Annie said. Jack took a deep breath. He felt great. He was getting more and more like a ninja every minute. Maybe even like a ninja master, he thought. East, he said. Let's go. And they went east, down the mountain between the rocks, until they came to the wide, icy stream. The water seemed even wilder than before. I don't see the treehouse, said Annie. Jack looked across the stream to the dark grove of trees. Moonlight shone on their pale flowers, but where was the treehouse? I don't see it either, said Jack. We have to cross the water first anyway, and then we'll try to find it. Well, I hope it's not lost because they'll be stuck there forever. They won't be able to go home. The water was crashing and rushing over the rocks. Squeak! The mouse peeked out from its pouch. Don't be afraid, said Annie, and she patted the mouse's little head. Be like us. Be like a ninja. Let's go, Jack said. He took a deep breath and stepped into the icy stream. The ice water swirled up to his knees. The current knocked him over. Jack grabbed some weeds to not fall over fully, and he held on as tight as water swirled around him. He was freezing to death. Jack! Annie grabbed Jack's arms. She helped him back onto the bank. That was close, said Annie. Jack wiped his glasses. They were lucky they didn't fall fully into the water. Are you okay? Said Annie. Ah, said Jack. His teeth were chattering. I'm not really okay. I'm freezing. I'm chilled to the bone. We're never going to get across, said Annie. It's too hard. We'll drown if we try, or we'll freeze to death, said Jack. He pulled off the hood of his sweatshirt. He didn't feel like a ninja anymore. He felt scared again. Annie pulled off her hood, too. She sighed. What can we do? Squeak! Peanut climbed out of Annie's sweatshirt pouch and leaped onto the ground. The mouse scampered away. No, Annie said. Peanut, come back here. No, said Jack. Let's follow Peanut. Maybe Peanut has an idea. Why? Said Annie. What would you do if you were there? Would you be nervous? Would you be able to swim across that lake, that river? Would you walk across it? Would you be scared like them? What if it was really cold? What would you do? We have to do what the master said Jack. Follow nature. Oh, right, said Annie. The first clue he gave us was to be nature, and the second clue he gave us was to Follow nature. Come on, let's follow Peanut. But where is he? Where is Peanut, the little cute mouse? In the moonlight, Jack saw the little mouse. It was running across the grass along the stream. There, he cried, come on, let's follow Peanut. Annie hurried after Jack. Jack hurried after Peanut. They ran beside the rushing waters. A moonlit branch had fallen across a narrow part of the stream. It actually touched both parts of the stream. The mouse was running over the branch. Peanut found a way to get across, a bridge. A branch is laying across the stream. We can just climb on that, said Annie. And she started to follow. Wait, said Jack. We can't go on that branch. It's too small. It'll break. And that is the end of chapter 8. Should we read chapter 9? Raise your hand if you should read chapter 9. Okay. Mouse Walk, chapter 9. The mouse vanished into the tall grass on the other side of the stream. Jack and Annie stared at the tree branch. We have to try, said Annie. We're supposed to follow nature. Forget it, said Jack. It's too little. It's going to crack if we try to go across it. Maybe if we pretend we're mice, we can do it. Oh, brother, said Jack, not again. If you could be a rock, you can be a mouse, said Annie. Just be teeny and light and fast. Actually, that's not a bad idea. Jack took a deep breath. We have to, said Annie. It's the only way across. Okay, Jack said. Say squeak, said Annie. You're nuts, said Jack. Just do it, said Annie. It'll help you feel more like a mouse. Jack groaned. Okay, he said. Squeak. Squeak, said Annie. Squeak, 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 they said together. Let's go, hurry, said Annie, and Jack stepped into the branch. I'm teeny, I'm tiny, I'm light, I'm fast, he thought, and he scampered across the branch. Jack moved so quickly he didn't even think about anything except getting to the other side. He forgot the wild freezing water, he forgot the smallness of the branch, and suddenly Jack was on the other side, and Annie was right beside him. They did it. They laughed and fell together into the grass. See, the branch didn't break, said Annie. I guess it was big enough, said Jack. I guess we just had to think the right way. The peanut way, said Annie. Yes, said Jack, smiling. That was a good idea, Annie. He felt great. He was still wet, though, from his fall into the stream, and he was still cold, but he didn't mind any more. Jack pushed his glasses into place and stood up. Okay, now we just have to find the treehouse, he said. No, we don't, said Annie, and she pointed up. The treehouse was outlined against the moonlit sky, high in a tree, surrounded by white flowers. In the distance came the sound of voices, and Jack saw flames. Oh no, said Jack. There's our treehouse, but the samurai are coming back. We have to get out of here. Where's Peanut? Said Annie. We can't leave him behind. We have to, said Jack. The voices of the samurai were getting closer, and they were carrying torches with like sticks with fire on them. Oh no, said Jack. Come on. He grabbed Annie's hand and he pulled her towards the rope ladder. Oh, Jack, she said sadly. Go, he said. We have to. Annie started up the rope ladder and Jack followed. He felt sad too. He really liked that mouse a lot. They climbed up and up. Just before they got to the top, Jack heard it. Squeak! Oh, wow, said Annie. Peanut's already inside the treehouse. Annie pulled herself into the treehouse and Jack followed. He gasped. Somebody else was in the treehouse too. A dark figure was sitting in the corner of the treehouse. Do you think it's a samurai? Do you think it's a ninja? Do you think it's... Who do you think it is? So interesting. A dark figure was sitting in the corner. And then the figure said, you have done well. You have followed the way of the ninja. Oh, man, said Jack. Squeak! The master was holding Peanut. Take good care of your little helper, he said, handing the mouse to Annie. Annie kissed the mouse's head. And take this, said the master. He held his hand out to Jack. He gave Jack a small round stone. This moonstone will help you find your missing friend, the master said. Jack stared at the stone. Was this one of the 4 things? You must go home now, said the master. He picked up the Pennsylvania book and he handed it to Annie. Where did you find it? Said Jack. Here, said the master. You did not see it before because your heart knew you had a mission to complete first. What about you? Said Annie. Are you going to come with us? Yes, said Jack. We need help finding Morgan. And there's the picture of the master He's holding a moonstone, and he gave the mouse back to Annie over there. There's the mouse. There's Annie holding the moonstone. And then, oh, she's holding the mouse, and there's the master giving the moonstone to Jack. The master said, "No, my friends, I cannot go with you. There will be more ways and help along the way, but you must find the way on your own." Annie opened the book. She found the picture of Frog Creek, and she pointed to it. "I wish we could go there," she said. The wind started to blow, the white flowers started to shake, clouds covered the moon. "Remember," the master said, "keep a kind heart." He swung silently down the rope ladder. He disappeared. "Wait," said Jack. There was so much he wanted to ask the master about nature, about ninjas, about their mission. But the treehouse started to spin. It spun faster and faster. Jack grabbed that small moonstone in his hand and held it tight and squeezed his eyes shut. And then everything was still, absolutely still. And that is the end of chapter 9. And we're about to read chapter 10. Should we just wait to read chapter 10 another day, or should we read it today? What do you think we should do? I think we should read it today. You're right. Chapter 10. Good night, Peanut. Jack opened his eyes, and he opened his fist. He stared at the moonstone in his hand. It was clear and smooth, and it seemed to glow. "We're home," said Annie. "Squeak," said the mouse. Annie and the mouse were looking out the window. Jack looked with them. The sun was setting in the distance. No time at all had passed in Frog Creek. They heard their neighbor's dog Henry bark. They heard crickets chirping outside. In the distance, they could see their dad step out of their house. "Jack, Annie," he said, time for dinner. Come inside." "Coming," said Annie. Jack sat on his heels. He looked at the moonstone again. "I guess we have one of the 4 things," he said. "We'll look for the other 3 tomorrow," said Annie. And Jack nodded. "There's a lot more work to do." He put the moonstone in his pocket, and he pulled on his pack. "Ready?" he said. "Wait," said Annie. She took off one of her sneakers. She pulled off her sock. She put her shoe back on. "What are you doing?" said Jack. "I'm making a bed," she said. "A bed? For what?" "A bed for Peanut to sleep in," said Annie. And she picked up the mouse and she tucked it inside her sock. "Good night, Peanut," she said softly. "Squeak." "Oh, brother," said Jack. Annie held the mouse close to Jack. "Kiss it good night, Jack," she said. "No," said Jack. Don't be silly. Let's go." "Thanks for helping us," Annie said to the mouse. She put Peanut gently down the glowing M. She put Morgan's message out of her pocket pouch and put it next to the mouse. "See you tomorrow," she said, and she started down the ladder. For a moment, its dark eyes looked old and wise when she looked at the mouse. "Come on, Jack," said Annie. And Jack did decide. He kissed the tiny head of the mouse. "Good night, Peanut," he said. Jack headed down the rope ladder. It got darker and darker as he went down. By the time he stepped into the ground, it was almost black outside. "Where are you?" said Jack. "Here," said Annie. Her hand bumped into his, so he took her hand, and they both said, "Careful," and they ran through the cool, dark woods. They moved silently and swiftly, 2 silent warriors returning home after their adventure. And there's many more stories to come. That is the end. Night of the Ninjas. So we had to find Magic Treehouse book. This is Magic Treehouse book number 5. See the 5 right there? We have to find number 6, because number 6 will tell us what happens next. I've got to find it. I'll look for it. I love you. Hope you enjoyed Night of the Ninja. And let me know if you want more stories. Just tell me. Just send me a video and say, "Ami, send us more stories." And I'll try my best to do it. I love you. Good night.